With 20 million copies sold worldwide, only 3% of players have ever managed to beat Honor Mode. And as one of those players, and as someone with over 700 hours and 100% of the achievements, today I will explain how you get your own golden dice by explaining the hardest parts of Honor Mode. Wow, so it seems like you guys really liked the last video, so here's the part 2. It will cover the cleanup fights in Act 1, as well as the Underdark all the way up to Grymforge. Also want to thank you guys because it seems like the views literally 16x my current subscriber count, so it seems like you guys really like it. And obviously Act 2 and Act 3 are in the works right now, so please go ahead and subscribe for more content. So without further ado, let's go ahead into part 2. So because we are doing some house cleaning here before we move on to all the battles, the first thing I like to do is hire a dedicated Withers pickpocketer. So basically the hireling is going to stand next to Withers the whole time, so then if we create someone who's going to be maximized very good at sleight of hand, so this will basically be a rogue with a sleight of hand expertise, then we can go ahead and respec Astarion into whatever we want, and we don't really have to worry about the sleight of hand part. And then every time we respec our class with Withers, then we can have this girl basically always have the pickpocket available so that we can always steal back the gold. There are a lot of really great sleight of hand items such as the smuggler's ring and the gloves of thievery, but sometimes you don't want to wear them on your Astarion or your rogue because you want them to have damage items, so then it's good to have a dedicated pickpocketer and also a sleight of hand specialist. So usually, if you can go ahead and convince Lump to fight for you, it's good to pit him against Joragslin while you go ahead and fight him. But unfortunately, I did not pass that persuasion check. So I'm gonna have to beat him if I want his headband. And as with the previous Honor Mode guide, you want to go ahead and rely on sure things. So in this case, that would be Cloud of Daggers, because as we covered previously, Cloud of Daggers has no saving throw, it always hits. And it hits once when you activate it, as well as when they start their turn, which means it basically hits twice. And in Honor Mode, it's really hard to accurately hit enemies because of their higher armor class. So basically this is a really nice way to have reliable damage and good AoE during the fight. And because these ogres have really high damage when attacking with melee, and also they have high health, so you're usually in for a longer-ish battle. So yeah, in this case you want to go ahead and engage the fight from the roof, and as you can see, kind of guerrilla tactic, you want to go ahead and hit from the roof and then just hide behind the wall, because their main way of attacking you if you're that high up is to throw things. But if you're behind a platform, then they just simply don't have the angle to go ahead and throw stones at you, which means that you can just go ahead and hit them and then just move back. And as far as I know, ogres can't climb ladders, which means that basically they have absolutely no way to get to you, which means, yeah, as long as you start your fight on the roof here, then you'll be completely fine. And as always, I have Shadowheart focusing on Bless, that way we can get some extra accuracy, as that's basically the hardest thing to come by in the fights in Honor Mode. And I'm also using a spiritual weapon because I know that the fight is going to be in this enclosed area here, but be really mindful because the spiritual weapon's movement speed is basically non-existent, which means you basically can't expect it to move around at all. But if you're expecting the enemy to stay in one stationary place, then it's a very good addition to the fight. Yeah, so basically the rest of this is the same, it's just me hitting it with any kind of ranged attack, and then afterwards moving back around into the wall to make sure that they don't have the angle, or it's really hard to set up the angle for them to throw things at me. And then yeah, just keep throwing them and you should be relatively fine. Of course, they might get a throw in here or there, but you should most of the time not be taking any damage at all, which means that you should be able to clear this pretty easily. Now for the Gnolls fight, it is very tempting to want to go right here and just go check out what is going on, because there's a hyena playing around, but you want to actually go around and hide because you want to go ahead and engage these archers right here. Because these are the gnolls that the hyena is going to call for help if you go ahead and talk to the hyena first. So in that case, you're going to have to fight literally every single gnoll at the same time, which is not going to make the fight very easy. But if you go ahead and fight the gnolls up here first, then you can go ahead and take down the hyena and the gnolls downstairs afterwards. And as you can see, I actually landed 2 different Cloud of Daggers in the group of hyenas, and it seems like now there's actually only like 1 left. So this first part can be pretty quick considering how well you land your AoE and how grouped up they are. Now that half of the gnolls are basically eliminated, now we can go ahead and engage with the bottom. And there are a bunch of gnolls that are waiting to wake up from these hyenas. So you want to go ahead and try to kill them as fast as possible. And since you're coming from where the gnoll archers were previously, so you're going down, which means that you will have high ground, so that anytime you go ahead and make a move, you're going to actually have advantage on all of them. Yeah, so as long as you're not engaging with all of these guys at once, you won't have like 9 gnolls trying to attack your team. And you'll also have high ground and first turn advantage on them, which means that you'll be able to wipe out most of them before they wake up, and maybe if there are 3 or 4 left, then you can just take them down as well. Now for the Paladins of Tyr, one thing to note is that the moment Anders sees Karlach, the fight will begin. So you actually want to, even if you have Karlach already, you want to go ahead and just leave her at the bottom, that way she doesn't encounter them. In that case, as you can see, I can talk to Cyril just fine and go ahead and do some trades. And you can also go ahead and buy the smoke powder bomb from her. That way she doesn't throw it at you when we engage her here in a second. And also it's just a really great weapon to have. And also it's a really bad weapon to be used against you, because sometimes if you're clumped up together, that can actually potentially wipe your run. And to push as much advantage as possible, you want to go ahead and use your casters up above here, because Anders is actually quite strong and can potentially one-hit your characters depending on where they're at. And when you're ready to engage the fight, then you can go ahead and bring Karlach. And when you go ahead and open the door, then Anders, there was basically no dialogue choice, will go ahead and start the fight. And since Anders is the boss, he is by far the most dangerous character in this fight. So you want to go ahead and focus him down as fast as you can, because if anyone is going to down your characters, it's going to be Anders smiting them. So as you can see, I'm dropping everything I have. I'm dropping the Circle of Daggers, I'm hasting into magic missiles as well into Anders, and I'm also dropping the spiritual weapon next to Anders. I'm basically doing everything I can to keep him away from smiting my characters. And when my melee characters are available, then I move them in and also try to do the max output damage I possibly can into Anders. So I'm going here with the double hit for the monk, as well as later I'll bring in Karlach to go ahead and throw things at him. And yeah, and there you go, and Anders is dead. And once he's dead, then the fight is basically won. You're just doing cleanup at that point, and the chance of you wiping is 0. Also, one thing to note about Honor Mode is that I feel like it just has somehow more bugs than if you were to do a normal campaign. So as you can see here, Cyril is like stuck in the box and is just like teabagging the box over and over. Yeah, these things just are gonna happen, so you're just gonna have to roll with the punches and just try your best, and not everything is gonna go perfect as coded even. And because of some meta circumstance, you might not output as much damage as you should have been able to because something weird happens in the game. I feel like that's just something that happens a lot in Honor Mode. I'm not sure why it's like this, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. And also another thing to note about Honor Mode is that everything is so expensive, so the economy is pretty tight, and sometimes if you don't have enough money saved up and there's a premium item for a trader, you might just simply not have enough resources to buy it, which is kind of crazy. So you want to go ahead and utilize the attitude mechanic as well as the persuasion to try to save as much money as possible while trying to get the gear that you want. So this means that ideally you want to have a character that you can reset to level 1 and level back up multiple times throughout the campaign. So for this role I picked Astarion because it's a lot easier to level up a rogue all the way back up than it is a spellcaster where you have to redecide all the spells over and over again. And the reason why you go ahead and reset a character to 1 is that the lower the character's level is, the less they'll have to pay to increase the attitudes to the max level of 100. For example, at level 1, you can go ahead and just pay 400 gold as I am doing here, but such as in level 12, you'll have to pay 4,500 gold to get the trader to increase the attitude by the same amount. It's important to note that the persuasion and the attitude points that account for the discount apply for both buying and selling items. So generally, if you have more than 2,000 gold worth of transaction, whether it's selling or buying, then it'll usually be worth it to pay the extra 400 gold to get the attitude up to 100. And also the attitude does not carry over to the rest of the party, so the attitude only applies to one person. So for example, if Astarion has an attitude 100 with Dammon, that doesn't actually mean that anyone else approaching Dammon is also going to have the 100 attitude. So that's only going to apply to Astarion, which basically means you always want to engage with Astarion or whoever your dedicated trader is. That way you can keep that maximum attitude that you paid 400 gold for. And also, in general, it's just good to max attitude with Dammon just because he's available in Act 1 and 2 and 3, which means that he will be a nice person that you can always go to sell everything. Now, as you can see here, Aaron only has 800 gold, which means that if I try to sell all my wares at the same time, he actually doesn't have enough money for it, but that's okay. You can actually just go ahead and sell the select items, and then you can just go ahead and partial rest for no resources at all, and then after that Aaron will have some more money, which means that we can go ahead and sell the rest of the wares. It's just going to take a couple of days of partial rest, but it's not going to actually take any resources. While maximizing trader attitudes, we can also go ahead and do that with Auntie Ethel, because as a legendary hag, she has one of the best resources in the entire game, which is the Elixir of Hill Giant Strength. Yeah, so as we did before, we're going to go ahead and reset Astarion to 1 with that max charisma and that persuasion expertise. And then we're going to go ahead and just take a lot of the wares that we're going to need. And we're going to go to Auntie Ethel and we're going to go and pay 400 gold to make sure that she has the maximum attitude, because we're going to be buying a lot of elixirs. The elixir is very, very beneficial for strength-specific characters or characters that benefit from 4 different stats at once, because you always want to have good constitution and dexterity, but sometimes you might also be using charisma or wisdom, but also you want to scale with your strength as well. So that would be such things as Open Hand Monk, which requires you to have high wisdom and high strength, or Sword Bard, which also requires you to have high charisma, but also want high strength to scale off of the Titan String Bow later on. Basically, there are a lot of builds that would like to have 4 stats that are very high, so this is a great place to stock up on them. And once you stock up here, you basically don't have to do it for the entire campaign. That's how much you can actually buy. Now, I was trying to trade with Astarion, but I didn't actually have the dialogue option to show the wares, so I was trying to go back and forth here. But I realized that you actually don't even need the dialogue option to actually trade with Auntie Ethel, because you can actually just engage in dialogue with her first, and then on the bottom left there is a trade button, which means that you can trade even if you don't have the dialogue option to do so. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and give her 400 gold. Now she has maximum attitude, which means we can go ahead and buy all the Hill Giant Strength and the invisibility potion and the health potions that we want at a discount. And the last thing to finish this puzzle is that every single time you level up, then Auntie Ethel will restock on those elixirs, which basically means that even though it's a little annoying, you only need to do it once. But if you go ahead and level your other 3 companions to level 1, and then you come back here to trade, then you'll basically have 9 level ups, and you'll have 3 elixirs every single time you level up, because you level up and then you quit out of the menu and then you buy 3 elixirs and then you level up again, and you just kind of repeat this process, which means you'll be able to grab 27 elixirs. And because elixirs are once per long rest, and you don't long rest like that much, so then you'll basically, once you have 27, or sometimes like I like to keep maybe like 2 stacks, so that would be around 40, then you won't have to worry about it ever again. Now of course, this is not the only place you can get strength elixirs. You can actually buy them throughout the game, so then you'll be able to buy some in the Underdark as well, but it's just good to have all of them in one place. That way you just never have to worry about it again, and then every time you long rest, then you can just go ahead and take a sip of the 40 different elixirs that you have. Yeah, so as you can see, that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm setting Lae'zel back to 1, and then I'm switching to Karlach, and then I'm setting Karlach back to 1, and then I'm switching to Astarion, and then I already set him back to 1 actually. And then yeah, now we can just go ahead and go to Auntie Ethel, and then we can go ahead and buy 3 level 1, buy 3 level 1, and then just keep doing it until we have 27 Hell Giant Strength elixirs. Admittedly, it takes a little bit of time, but it's something that you basically only have to do once the entire campaign. And you know, as everyone knows, the Baldur's Gate campaigns are like 50 to 100 hours long. So yeah, just taking like, you know, maybe like 5 to 7 minutes to do this is not that big of a deal. Yeah, and I'm not saying everyone has to do it. It's just something that I'm showing you guys that I'm doing just to set up for the acts ahead. And as you can see, now I have a lot of Hill Giant strengths, and I will never need it again. Now for the Flind fight, I would highly recommend bringing a cleric that is carrying calm emotions, because basically the Gnolls will be trying to stack rage over time, and when they're able to stack it for long enough, that's when we get the infamous Gnolls archers who can do multi-attacks, which are super devastating and can turn the fight out of control very quickly. Yeah, so as you can see here, you want to take this fight pretty seriously. As you can see, with Karlach has the Infernal Fury with the soul coin ready to go, as well as everyone has their elixirs ready to go. And then now you want to go ahead and slowly approach from the back here instead of approaching them directly. I think I'm checking my statuses for the umpteenth time just to make sure that I am ready for this battle. Yeah, and then now we're going to go ahead and approach from the back, and as you can see, there's the Gnoll there, and you want to go ahead and grab this high ground on the right side if you can with the characters that you know are going to do ranged attacks. And because I'm going to basically engage the fight right in front of their face, so then this is also very likely to trigger a surprise round, which means that all of their turns are skipped for this first round, which is very good. Now, if you have the calm emotions ready, then honestly, the archers and the rest of the Gnolls are actually not that big of a deal. So the highest priority here is you want to basically kill Flind as fast as humanly possible, because basically he's the only key player who can turn this fight out of control with all his paralyzed attacks and everything. So very similar to the Anders fight, basically you want to drop every single thing you can onto Flind if possible. But of course, I can't actually reach Flind here because I blocked myself with the Cloud of Daggers. I probably shouldn't have done that. But I do have the spiritual weapons on him and the Cloud of Daggers, so it's going to be very hard for him to move away from that spot towards me. And I'm even coming out with Shadowheart, throwing a smoke powder bomb for her action just to do as much damage as possible. Now usually I would have her using Bless, that way everyone is getting accuracy, but she's going to be concentrating on something much more important, which is Calm Emotion, to make sure that these other Gnolls don't get their rage stacks up high enough that they can do multi-attacks. And as you can see here, now the archer is doing Seething Fury, and also the second archer is doing Seething Fury. And after we attack Flind, then we want to go ahead and drop the Seething Fury using Calm Emotions. So Calm Emotions coming down. As you can see, Seething Fury, in one turn he's going to be able to use a multi-attack, but that is not the case because I'm going to now go ahead and drop Calm Emotions onto everyone. And now Seething Fury is gone, which means now he's completely calmed. He can't do the Fury, which means he'll only be able to attack once per turn, which means that they basically aren't a big deal anymore. And now that Flind is dead, because we were focusing him as hard as humanly possible in the very beginning, so then these guys at this point are basically just chill enemies to clean up at the very end of the fight. So after Flind is dead, and after they have Calm Emotions, which means that these monsters cannot do multi-attacks, then the chance of you wiping is basically 0. Yeah, so at this point we're just playing cleanup with Lae'zel as the open hand monk, which means that she has the Tavern Brawler, which adds a +5 to her attack rolls, which is another fancy way to just say that she is now adding +25% to her attacks. And the same thing for Karlach, she also has the Tavern Brawler as a thrower, so then she also has a +25% chance, which means that the cleanup here is pretty easy. Now this isn't a fight per se, but I have wiped here before, which is why I'm going to include it, which is the Zhentarim Hideout. Now of course you can just walk in, and if you save Rugen or if you have the package, then you can just walk in here. But the one thing to note is that there are a lot of explosive barrels down here, and sometimes even if you're just walking through, sometimes maybe some weird fire thing happens, and then that can just completely explode everything, and then all 4 of your team members can die at the same time. And in an honor mode run, that means your entire team just gets wiped. So as you can see there, you want to go ahead and maybe just take one person and explore the bottom, or just make sure one person is at least at the top. That way you don't have a chance of completely wiping, because that has happened to me before, and I didn't even use any fire skills. I just walked through, and then it just exploded and everyone died. So it's very dangerous, which is why I wanted to put in here to make sure that people avoid it. Also, one other thing to note is that the Titan string bow is here, but I think a lot of people already know that. It's one of the best weapons in the game. But another thing is you want to go ahead and pick up as many invisibility potions as possible, because these are basically your get out of jail free cards, so you want to collect as much as possible in an honor mode run. Also, the Githyankis in the mountain pass here are pretty dangerous, but you don't have to fight them. So you just want to go ahead and bring Lae'zel, because if you do, then you can go ahead and just pass a easy 10 DC persuasion check, which you should be able to pass very easily if you have a nice yapper on your team. And you just go ahead and let Lae'zel go first, and then after that you just go ahead and let Lae'zel talk, and then you just persuade her to go along with everything, and then you just need to pass a nice DC 10, which should be very easy if you have a nice yapper. If you don't have Lae'zel, then this is going to be a lot more difficult, because the Kithrak is going to try to read your mind using literally detect thoughts or other things, and you're going to have to pass a lot more persuasion checks that are going to be higher than 10 because he doesn't trust you. So yeah, just bring a Yapper and Lae'zel and you should be good for this fight. Now for the Redcaps, you definitely want to clear these first, because if you engage with Ethel before that, then they're going to come join and make the fight much more difficult. So you basically just want to start in this little platform here. That way you get the high ground on the 3 sheep/Redcaps that are on the ground. And yeah, you just want to wait for the sheep to come in, and then you want to go in and enter in turn-based mode and go ahead and start. And one thing about this is that when the swamp turns bad, then this is going to surprise your party. So this is a forced surprise fight. But luckily we have 2 members who have alert. This is why alert is so good in honor mode, because basically there are a lot of forced surprise fights in Baldur's Gate, which means that if you have at least a couple people on alert, then that means that you actually won't have that much of a disadvantage. And if you can see here, I actually just made a speed potion in the middle of the battle. That's also something that you can do, which is just in the middle of the battle, if you need, let's say, a speed potion, or if you need, let's say you want to make like an elixir of bloodthirst or anything like that, then you can just go ahead and make it, like just on your turn, and then just have them drink it right then and there. So you actually don't have to commit resources to see like, oh, like, do I need this potion or this potion? And like, yeah, you can just conserve your resources and then wait until the time is right, and then just decide what potion would be best for you, and then just craft it right there, and then you can just drink it. Yeah. And then from here, as you guys can see, this is just basics. We're just on high ground to gain the advantage, and then we're using reliable sources of damage such as Cloud of Daggers, Magic Missiles, and Tavern Brawler, which increases accuracy quite a lot. Now we can go ahead and fight Ethel, and these Redcaps will not join us, which is very good. Now for the Ethel fight, I went ahead and brought Gale with 19 intelligence, no alert, and with Hold Person and Arcane Lock for the stairs. If you go behind this fireplace, there's going to be a staircase that Auntie Ethel tries to escape to when she's running low, and you can go ahead and Arcane Lock. But I've also been told that it doesn't work in honor mode, so I wanted to go ahead and try it. But yeah, but before we start the battle, we do want to go ahead and just make sure that everyone is positioned well. So we have the ranged characters in the high ground upstairs, and now I'm going to go ahead and try to cast Hold Person with 40%. And I actually get really lucky, and it actually lands, which means that now we have a chance to just go ahead and burst down Auntie Ethel as fast as humanly possible, because if we can burst her down in one turn, then technically she dies right here, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. But I actually made kind of a big mistake, actually, which is that I just didn't long rest, which means that my sorcerer has 0 spell slots, so he's just like not ready for this battle at all. But luckily, as you can see here, yeah, I'm just like checking my spell slots and it's all empty, and I'm just like trying to look at scrolls to see if there's maybe a scroll that I can use for a source of damage, because I don't actually have any damage. So yeah, I mean, this goes without saying, but don't be like me and actually long rest before all of your major encounters. But yeah, I have Gale ready next to the stairs just in case she breaks out, and I'm going to go ahead and Arcane Lock the stairs. And even though I don't have any spell slots, I do have a Scroll of Fireball, which means I will be able to do some damage. I just need Karlach to move out of the way, that way she doesn't get hit by it. And then yeah, I just go ahead and throw my Fireball because I don't have any spell slots. But we're just rolling with the punches as we do in honor mode, and I see that I have Elixir of Arcane Cultivation, which means I can get 1 level 1 spell slot, which means I can use Magic Missiles next turn. But I get insanely lucky here because Ethel actually misses her saving throw, which means she is actually in Hold Person for another turn, which means now I can definitely kill her. And yeah, so I just get super lucky and actually just kill her on the first try there. This is definitely not the usual result, so I will go ahead and explain some tips for honor mode for Auntie Ethel, because this is definitely not going to be most people. One of the things is that Gale is going to be really great for this fight, because every single time a spell is cast, then Auntie Ethel is going to create a clone of herself. So higher spell levels is going to create more clones, which means that you actually want to limit the number of spell casts that you do, because you don't want too many clones to be summoned. So the one that you actually want to use is level 1 Magic Missile, because the Magic Missile is going to be able to kill 3 clones, and then because it's a level 1 spell slot, it's going to create 1 more clone, which means that it's basically a net -2 on the clones. And other than that, you want to go ahead and bring a lot of martial classes that don't rely a lot on spell slots and can still do a lot of damage. And also Auntie Ethel on her turn can create more duplicates and shuffle herself around within them. But if you go ahead and inspect each of the clones, then you will actually be able to find the difference between the real one and the fake one. So just make sure to pay attention to inspecting each of the clones. Now for the final fight of this map, we're going to go ahead and fight the Spider Matriarch, which I think is probably the hardest boss of this entire map. But yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and pick up the Infernal Iron here really quick. And before we fight the Spider Matriarch, we're going to have to face basically like the appetizer, which is going to be the 4 spiders that kind of show you the mechanics of what is to come. So yeah, you can just go ahead and break down the wall and enter, and yeah, basically they'll just come to you the moment you step on the web. It's not a big deal, and then you can just go ahead and start the fight. Now these guys aren't that big of a deal, so there really isn't that much like advantage to push. You just stick to the basics of trying to focus down one enemy at a time for everyone, I think, and there's probably no way to wipe in this fight. It should be fine. It's basically just introducing you to the 2 mechanics that are going to come up, which is the Redcaps show you that it's infested, which basically is a condition that deals damage to you every turn unless you are purging it with acid or fire. And it's showing you the phase spiders, which is just showing you that the spiders to come, they can basically just teleport. Now, getting in-webbed is not a huge deal. You're just not able to move for a turn, but also they're just going to come to you, so it's not going to be a big thing. But yeah, when you can, just go ahead and move yourself off the web and then try to fight on the normal ground. Now, because Lae'zel did take a lot of punishment here, she does end up getting downed, and this is a good time to talk about Healing Word. So this is why we carry a cleric with us, because we can use Healing Word as a bonus action, and it's actually ranged, which means that we can go ahead and revive the character. Now I don't actually use it here just because I just throw a potion because I want to try to conserve resources as much as I can, but this is the exact type of moments where it would be good to have Healing Word, because that way you can heal someone who has been downed in battle. Even if they're far away, you don't have to walk up to them and you don't have to spend your primary action to bring them up to speed. Now for the scary main boss fight, you do want to grab something which is over here in this heavy chest, which is the spider step boots, which basically allow you to walk on the spider webs and never trigger the in-web, which means that no one is alerted of your position. And you want this because you want to try to kill all of the spider eggs before the fight, if possible, because in honor mode, the Matriarch has this insane legendary action, which basically makes it so that after the spiderlings hatch, after the little eggs hatch within the battle, if you didn't kill them in advance, if you attack any of them, then the Matriarch can just entomb you, which means they basically just insta-paralyze you for 3 turns, and then after that the tomb will burst and deal 45 damage on average, which basically means it can just one-hit kill like a party member. And as the previous fight kind of hinted, you can go ahead and clean this or clear this using fire or acid. Now I'm going to clear the last of the spider egg sac over there. So that's 1 out of the 3 egg sac groups. So then usually you just want to take 1 person, because if you get caught off and everyone dies, then obviously that's a bad result. Yeah, so here is the 2nd egg sac. And even though it's kind of crazy, like as long as your character doesn't enter line of sight, it doesn't seem like the spider minds that much. So yeah, there you go. Now the 2nd sac is dead. And now the 3rd sac is the hardest one, because it's the one that's right under the Matriarch. It's the one that's she's just directly guarding it. So we're just gonna wait for her to walk away, and then we're gonna just destroy the one that's the closest to us. And okay, you cannot hide behind that boulder. I thought you can hide behind it, but nope. Yeah, but then yeah, we're just gonna wait for her to walk away, and then we're just gonna quickly shoot, and then we're gonna walk back again, check the line of sight. And then when we have the opportunity, then shoot it down. And then I think there's 1 more, and then the 3rd egg sac will be destroyed. So yeah, this is why we need the spider boots, because if we didn't have the boots, we would not be able to do this. Yeah, so then there you go. Now all the children are dead, which means that there's no chance of us getting legendary action entombed, paralyzed, and taking 40 or upwards to 80 damage. Yeah, with her super insane legendary action, which just completely paralyzes the team member. Now, there's also one other thing, which is that the walkways here are weak to fire, which means that we can actually just wait for the Matriarch to come in and we can just shoot like that. And that actually hits for 40 damage of falling, which means that you can actually take down a huge chunk of health even before you start the battle. Now, if for some reason you didn't kill the children before you engaged in the battle, then at that point you're just going to have to try your best to take down the Matriarch as fast as you can first, because if you touch any of the children, if you touch the babies, then basically then you're going to get hit with the Entomb immediately, and that means you're going to have from 4 party members to 3, and then sometimes from 3 party members to 2, and then your entire team can potentially wipe, and you might not even be able to escape because you can't drink the invisibility potion. Yeah, but if you kill the children, then you should be relatively fine. And then you should just focus down the Matriarch as fast as you humanly can, and then afterwards you're just going to play cleanup with the other 2 phase spiders. But yeah, that should be pretty chill. Also, a good elixir for this fight is the one with poison resistance, because all of these spiders shoot poison. But if you kill the children first, then you'll probably have a huge advantage in this battle anyways, so then you probably don't need it, as I didn't drink any here. But yeah, it definitely does help if you want to face it, if you want to feel like a little bit more safe. Yeah, and there you go. And now the Matriarch is dead, so now we're just playing cleanup. And at this point, the chances of you wiping is basically 0, because, I mean, these 2 guys are decently strong, but they're not strong enough to down a party and kill the entire party. That's mainly the Matriarch, so you want to go ahead and kill her first. And we just get that one last hit in, and there you go. And that's how you fight the Spider Matriarch. It is a pretty difficult battle, so don't be afraid if you need to retreat and drink an invisibility potion and get withers to revive your whole party and try again, because that has happened to me before multiple times. So this is a hard fight, but yeah, if you kill the spiderlings, then this should be manageable. Okay, and we are now in the Underdark. So the first mandatory fight of the Underdark is the Minotaur fight, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. Yeah, I don't think this is a fight that most people would have trouble with, but it is usually a mandatory one that you kind of encounter by force. But as long as you keep a healthy distance and engage with your marshals and make sure to have your ranged characters relatively far away, then this should not be too much of a hard fight. Yeah, I put all of my movement speed items on my one frontline character, which is Lae'zel with the monk. So she has like 23 movement speed or something like that, because everyone else can attack from a distance, so it's not a big problem. Now they do have a leap that can knock you prone, but as long as you have your front line in the front, then they should be able to engage with that. And then that way your whole party, as long as they're not stuck together, they're not all getting hit by the prone at once. Yeah, so as you can see here, now we have Lae'zel keeping him in the front while everyone else is attacking. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward fight. It's just here for obligatory purposes more than anything. Now there are these explosive mushrooms, so you do want to go ahead and blow these up from a distance, like so. But yeah, then you can just wait for the air to clear. And there you go, just do it one more time, and you can go ahead and enter the Myconid Colony. Now, you do require like a small persuasion check, but it's just a 5, so I do roll a critical failure, but that's what inspiration is for. Yeah, and then you just go in and walk in, and it's all good. Now, this isn't a fight, but there are a lot of great items here. So I will be going over just a little bit of what I'll be picking up for the build. That way everyone kind of knows where I'm going with these characters. Now, the first item of interest is the Pearl of Power Amulet, which you can get after completing Omelum's quest. Now, this is really good because it lets you restore a level 3 spell slot in this level of the game, which basically means that you can cast like an extra Twin Haste or something like that. Now, another thing that's great on basically every build is the Caustic Band, which we're going to get soon. So we're going to go ahead and use the same trick we discussed earlier, resetting Asterion to level 1, and then we're going to go ahead and max out the attitude of the trader. She's going to show up in Act 3 as well, so it's good to just go ahead and do it now. And yeah, so we're just going to talk to her and go ahead and give her the 400 gold as usual, which maxes out. And now that it's maxed out, then we can go ahead and buy our caustic band. Oh, but I did forget to level up, so afterwards you want to go ahead and level up because this increases your proficiencies. So higher level just means that you'll have higher persuasion, which means that items will be cheaper. So then yeah, now the caustic band is cheaper than before, so then we can go ahead and buy it. And also because Karlach has a Tavern Brawler thrower build, so we also get a nice reward if we go ahead and save her husband. So we're going to just go ahead and do that really quick. Just be careful to not approach too fast here. You want to go ahead and trigger the dialogue without actually triggering all these bibber bangs that are everywhere. So just kind of walk up a little bit at a time, and then the dialogue should trigger. Now, I do have a Scroll of Misty Steps, so I can just go ahead and throw him that as long as I pass this strength check. But in a moment, I will go ahead and show you how to do it if you don't have that Scroll of Misty Step with you. Yeah, so again, you want to be careful not to trigger the Bibber Bangs, and just go ahead and talk to him. Now, the thing about Bibber Bangs is that the poisonous clouds they create, while they do like a little bit of damage, it's not like a huge deal. They're not going to kill you or anything. But the big thing is that they're highly flammable, and there is one fire source right there, a loose torch. So basically all you need to do is pick up the torch, and then of course the Bibber Bangs are going to trigger, but that should be totally fine because he might take like a little bit of poison damage, but as long as the one fire source, which is the torch, has been taken before they're triggered, then it's not going to be a huge deal. So as you can see, Karlach is taking a little bit of damage, but it's not too bad. But if that torch was there when the Bibber Bangs triggered, then the entire thing would go up in flames. So we definitely don't want that. So like for example, like that. If we trigger the Bibber Bangs upstairs, and then we have the fire, then it just completely explodes everything. Yeah. But once we rescue Balin, then we can go ahead and pick up our reward, which is going to be the Gloves of Uninhibited Kushiko, which basically adds a roughly 2 additional damage to the throws, and it's a glove that you can wear. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and pick that up. Yeah. And as many of you can gather, in honor mode, accuracy is king, and that means that Tavern Brawler is super good because it adds a plus 25% to throws and to bare hand attacks, which means that instead of the usual 50, 60, or sometimes even 40% accuracy when attacking the bosses actually ends up being like 80 to sometimes even 95%. Now for the Duegar fight, one tip is that you don't want to go ahead and bring Glut because he's a Myconid and they're enemies, which means that the moment that you come in with the Myconid, then the fight is going to start immediately, but I left him behind. So now I can go ahead and persuade him to not attack me. That way I can go ahead and find a more advantageous position. So yeah, I'm just going to tell him that I'm going to help him, and then that way we can go down the ladder and then up the ladder this way, and also position our Marshal right next to Gek. And as you can see, a lot of BG3 fights are similar to this, where the huge threat is basically there's one boss character who can spin the fight out of control, and in this case it's Gek. So then you basically, again, want to focus him down as fast as he can. That way he can get the least amount of actions, and then once he's down, then the rest should be relatively cake. So yeah, we're going to just stick with the basics. We're going to use Bless, and then we're going to use our high accuracy attackers, and then we're just going to go ahead and take him down as fast as we can. And then once he is dead, then you basically can't wipe from that point. So then you just keep throwing your skills at them, and their damage output isn't big enough, so you'll just kill them eventually. Another reason why Berserker is so popular in honor mode is because, as we'll see shortly, the Enraged throw has no saving throw for knocking a target prone, which basically means that when they are prone, then they'll be easier to hit, but even more importantly, they won't be able to take any reactions, which is very important in honor mode because there are a lot of dangerous reactions that a lot of bosses can use. With a Tavern Brawler adding 25%, and having absolutely no saving throw against the prone, it's basically a very close to 100% chance of you landing something that is a guaranteed condition. So this is why I would recommend it if a lot of people haven't played it before or still want to just get their golden dice. Yeah, and we have just one last Duegar here, so we can just land our final attack while it's hiding up there, and we should be done with this fight. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and bring in Karlach with the Frenzied Throw, and 95%, and there you go. And to complete Omelum's quest so that we can get our Pearl of Power Amulet, which I think is super good because it gives you a level 3 spell slot, which is very good at this stage of the game, you basically want to bring in your Resident Gale because these towers are weak to electric damage. So we're just going to go ahead and keep throwing electricity because the electric can down them in one hit, even in honor mode. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And there are 4 constructs in this tower that you do need to worry about. So basically once you clear those 4, then you'll be completely fine. Yeah, so we'll just open the door and then we'll go ahead and take these 2 down with lightning damage as well. And then I'll go ahead and show you how to quickly solve Omelum's quest. That way you can get that nice item for yourself as well. Yeah, so after the 2 are down, then you can go ahead and bring the rest of your team. I'll go ahead and drop off Gale real quick because he's very injured from the arcane turrets. And then afterwards, all you need to do is go straight. Yeah, so just walk around the elevator and then just go through the door. And then here you're going to need Featherfall to go all the way down to the bottom floor, which then will be ascending one at a time. Yeah, so once you cast Featherfall, then you would want to go ahead and pick up this Susser Flower because you're going to need this to power the tower itself. So there's a little lock, so you can just go ahead and lockpick that. And then go ahead and just put the Susser Flower into this area. Now you're going to need to get some mushrooms, so what you want to do here is you want to go up the stairs and then there's a way down, but there's no actual way to get there. But if you just Misty Step and then open the lever from the other side, then now the rest of your team can go ahead and join you. So yeah, you can visually see it, but you cannot physically go there. So then in this case, a spell like Misty Step is super good. Yeah, and then once one person opens it from the other side, everyone can come in. And then this is where we can pick up the first of the mushrooms, which is the Tongue of Madness. Now, these do need to be freshly picked, so after the quest, then you can just go ahead into the tower to pick this up. And then afterwards, now we just need the Tin Mask Spores, which is also very conveniently in the tower. So you just want to go ahead and ascend a couple times, and then you'll go ahead into this area where all the laboratory alchemy stuff is being done. And then there you go. Yeah, and once you pick up the Tin Mask Spores, then you can just fast travel back to the Myconid Colony, and then you'll be able to give it back to Omelum. Now, you do get a special tadpole power from the person who drinks the potion, and it doesn't actually matter if you win the saving throw or not, because if you lose the saving throw, then you just get a temporary debuff, so it's not a huge deal. You can just wait it out, and then it'll go away on its own. But I don't feel like Survival Instinct is that particularly good because it requires an action. But what is really good is that after you complete this quest line, you will be able to access his shop, which sells very, very good items for certain builds. Yeah, and now there you go. We are able to get our Pearl of Power Amulet, which we can go ahead and equip to be able to cast an extra haste or whatever you want throughout the playthrough. Another thing I like to do when I'm fighting a Nere in the Underdark is that because he is a spellcaster, so the Susser Flower is actually very effective against him, because within the Susser Flower, no one can cast any spells. So usually I have my monk carry this with them. That way, when the monk is engaged with Nere, then Nere has to walk away, which will cause a reaction before he can actually do anything at all. Now you can go even one step further, where if you take the Susser Flower and then you can go ahead and create a weapon, then that weapon will silence Nere, which will also help the fight a lot. But I feel like that's quite a lot of investment, so this is kind of like a halfway measure where, yeah, everyone can do it. All you gotta do is just pick up the Susser Flower and it'll help you against the spellcaster. Now, another thing you definitely want to do for the Nere fight is talk to this guy right here that's on the side, because if you convince him to fight with you, then that will make the upcoming fight a lot easier. But I did mess up a little bit, as we will see, so this ends up not mattering, but it is still very, very important, and I would recommend to do every time you fight Nere, because this will basically halve the enemy forces, and you will have more allies fighting for you, which will make the fight much easier, which ends up not happening because I mess up a little bit in the future. But yeah, let's just focus on this quest for now. So yeah, you want to go ahead and also take out the Eye of the Absolute, the Scrying Eye, and as we covered in the last video, this is basically almost indestructible by other damage in honor mode. So I'm gonna bring in our resident wizard Gale here, and then that way we can have Thunder Wave to destroy him, or Chromatic Orb. Yeah, so this orb is going to be following you most of the time, so then you can just go ahead and lead him into the corner where there's no one else that's going to witness this crime, and then afterwards you can just go ahead and destroy him with a Thunder Spell. Yeah, and then after you take out the eye, then now you'll be able to fight Nere, and usually, because at this point I have convinced the other Duegar to fight for me, so then this will basically cut the army by half and have allies for us who can tank for us while we fight. Now, this is where I went wrong. I didn't know this, but you definitely should not use a smoke powder barrel or satchel, because these will leave burning surfaces, which will automatically aggro the entire camp. So you actually want to use smoke powder bombs specifically. You don't want to use satchels or barrels, because that will aggro every single person, which I did not know until this moment, because I usually just use a couple bombs to clear it, and I didn't know there would be a difference. But yeah, so there is a flammable surface, so the moment Nere walks out, the entire camp is aggroed, and I don't get a dialogue check to be able to, signal to the Duegar that I convinced that it's time for them to fight for me. So then now, even though I was supposed to fight half of these guys, I'm going to have to fight every single person, which is, this is just honor mode. These things just happen, and we just gotta roll with the punches. So there are a couple dangers to note here for this fight, and the main one is the lava. So the lava will do an average of around 30 damage and also upwards of 60 damage when you step into it, and also at the beginning of your turn. So you definitely do not want your character to fall into this, because then even if they're downed, it would be extremely hard to revive them back, because even if you use Healing Word and maybe heal them for like 4 HP, then at the beginning of their turn, they'll just die again. And as you can see here, as we discussed, so even though we can't negate his legendary action with Silence, we can go ahead and prevent him from using spells while the monk is right in front of the face, because she is holding a sussy flower. Now, ideally, Nere would come all the way out, that way all 4 characters can converge onto him, because he is the main threat of this fight, but we cannot do that here. So other than that, there are actually still very big fights other than Nere, which is pretty unique actually, which is we do need to deal with 2 Mind Masters. Now, these guys are super dangerous because they can go ahead and dominate your teammates, which means that they'll entirely lose their action economy. And as you can see there, now Nere had to walk away and flee into the poison, which means he not only takes the 13 damage from having to walk away from Lae'zel, but he also takes the 13 reaction damage. And as you can see, our poor Shadowheart is actually being Mind Mastered by one of them. The other Mind Master has been taken down. So luckily it's not too bad of a situation, because it would be very bad if 2 teammates are Mind Mastered, because then it will turn into like a 2v20 situation, which is not great. Now, we will focus on taking down the other Mind Master here very soon. But yeah, I would say the main thing is just make sure not to be like me and don't use a smoke powder barrel or satchel. Make sure to use a smoke powder bomb, because otherwise, as you can see, I convinced the Duegars to fight for me, but they didn't come through, and also this makes the fight more than twice as hard, because you're fighting twice as many people and there's no allies fighting for you. But luckily we are able to still pull through from this situation, because as you can see, Karlach with the Tavern Brawler has 95% chance to hit every single person basically in this fight, and is hasted by the sorcerer, which means that she will be able to output a lot of damage, so we will be able to beat them over time even though there are quite a lot of them. One other thing to note about honor mode is that when you are hasted, then you actually don't benefit from extra attack, which means, usually when you're hasted in any other mode, you'll be able to use that one extra action you get to throw off maybe 2 or sometimes even 3 attacks, but you can only do 1. But even so, haste is super good, and especially when the sorcerer is twin hasting, then basically he's generating 2 actions or 2 extra attacks for the highest damage dealers, so it's still very good even in honor mode. Another thing for this fight, which you probably won't have to do if you don't make my mistake, but if you do, is you can go ahead and grab high ground up the ladder right here, but usually this won't be necessary because you will just wait for Nere to come out, and then every single person is just going to go ahead and jump Nere, and then you're going to have the Duegars be able to fight for you. But yeah, other than that, if you are in this specific situation where maybe you messed up and other people are aggroed, every single person, then yeah, you can go ahead and use that ladder to the left there and grab high ground, which would increase your accuracy and decrease everyone else's accuracy. Now this fight is quite lengthy, so I'm going to skip ahead, but yeah, the main thing is you want to focus on Nere as much as possible, and afterwards you want to go ahead and take down the Mind Masters as well, because they are going to straight up take away your actions or your turns, and you want to go ahead and convince the Duegars to fight for you before we enter this fight. And last but definitely not least, you want to use smoke powder or bombs, and you don't want to use satchels or barrels, anything that leaves a fiery surface. So basically you're left with smoke powder bombs. Now with movie magic, we only have 1 enemy left. So yeah, as we can see, we're using our broken frenzied throw, which basically allows us to hit prone as long as we land the attack. And there you go. And now we went ahead and cleared the Nere fight. Now for those of you who want to rescue Barcus, because he's such a sweet character, you do have a little bit of a timer on this fight. So if you do go ahead and keep on sleeping and ending the day, then Nere will die in the cave-in with all the poison. He will die, so you don't have to fight him. But the bad thing is that the Duegars will then go ahead and take all the gnomes, including Barcus, which means that you actually won't be able to save him. Now last but absolutely not least, we're going to cover the Grymforge and Grym fight. So it's actually super chill to get there. There's a lot of puzzles that you need to do, but you can also just go ahead and Misty Step here on the side where you killed all the Duegars, and then just have 1 person in the wave point, which means everyone can just come in. And then we're going to have to fight a little bit before, just so that we can grab those Mitril ores. Yeah, this fight is super chill. There's 4 of them and they don't do too much damage, so there's no chance to wipe in this specific fight. But while we're here, I do want to say that we want to go ahead and pick up the heavy mold, which I did previously right after I Misty stepped into this area, because the heavy armor variant of the Mitril is insanely good, as it has very high DC and also makes you immune to critical hits, which basically means that you are no longer at the mercy of RNG, or at least a little bit less. Yeah, so in this specific fight, you don't actually have to do much. You just, even if you don't have high ground, you should be completely fine. There's only 4 of them, and they don't do too much damage. But yeah, once you're done with this fight, then you will be able to come off to the side here and grab the first Mithril ore, which is going to be very good. Now, the second mini fight is actually somewhat more difficult. I don't think that people will wipe, but it is pretty mandatory, as you will need to get the ore. And one other thing is that this is a forced surprise fight. So ideally, you would want to have just 1 person walk in there first and then have the rest of the team join later, as these guys explode when they die. And if you bring the companions later on, then they can go ahead and grab high ground and attack from a distance, which means that you can minimize the damage that your team as a whole will take for this fight. So yeah, that's basically it. Just grab high ground and get ready for the surprise, and yeah, don't bunch up because they explode when they die. When you're done, then you can just go ahead and slowly make your way up to the right, and you can find the second Mithril ore. There are only 2 in the game. which means now we can go ahead and fight the final boss, which is the scary Grym of Honor mode. Now, when you're taking him on in Honor mode, he is extremely scary because not only is he hard to hit and he resists everything, but also he has AoE that hits your whole party every time you damage him, so he truly is a tank. But you actually don't have to fight him directly at all. So with a mage hand, you can actually just activate the entire mechanical platform as seen here. When you're in turn-based mode, it will take a couple turns for the platform to actually lower, and you do require the mold and also the ore to actually be placed inside before it's able to lower. But yeah, once you lower it, then you can just activate the lava and then the fight will begin. And yeah, at this point, there's actually no way for Grym to hit you at all because you are not on the platform. So even in Honor mode with this absolute tank of a monster, you are actually completely safe. But there are a couple monsters that will come out that will be able to damage you, but we will get to that when they actually come out. So the other thing that I recommend for this fight is you want to be able to summon things. So I was testing with minor illusions here, but it seems like that actually doesn't work. But one thing that does work is spiritual weapon. So that will be able to create a summon with just a level 2 slot, which means that you can do it multiple times throughout the fight. And you basically want to put the summon in a place where Grym will come attack it and sit right in the middle where the hammer will drop. And then you can just safely use your mage hand or just shoot arrows to activate the lava and the hammer. Now in Honor mode, Grym usually hits for an average of 25, but also upwards to 40-ish damage, which means that Grym can just one-hit your party members with one melee. But yeah, as you can see, I'm just using the arrow to activate the lava. That way he's heated, because otherwise he's literally just immune to every damage. And then after that, we're going to just go ahead and try to lead him into the hammer. And because we never got on the platform, we are completely safe. Theoretically, we don't even have to actually lead him to the hammer because we can go ahead and just shoot arrows and throw things at him until he dies, and that would work too. But he has a whopping 450 HP, so it will take a long time if you want to do it manually. Now comes the other aspect of this fight, which is the fire methods. And they do have fly, which means that they will come up and try to attack you, so be mindful of that. But, you still have advantage, and also Grym can't attack you, so sometimes Grym will just attack the other methods for you. But either way, you want to go ahead and focus on those methods when they come out, because they are basically the only enemies that can damage you in this fight when you are so high up on the platform. And as you can see, I have summoned my spiritual weapon, which means that now when I pass my turn, then Grym will come in and attack the spiritual weapon, as it's the only thing that's on the platform that is available for him to attack. And as we discussed earlier, I'm just going to go ahead and focus on taking down the fire methods, as they are the only thing that can actually damage me in this fight. Yeah, so as you can see, now he's here, which means now we can go ahead and activate the hammer, which will take down a huge chunk of his HP. Now, one thing to note is that every time he is hit by the hammer, he's actually going to reset, which means that he will become immune to all damage again. But that's totally okay, because once he kills the spiritual weapon, then he will just walk towards you, which means he's going to hit the lava and get superheated, and then you can just go ahead and summon another spiritual weapon to bring him to the center, and then just use the arrows again to activate the magma and then activate the hammer when it's the right time. Yeah, so as you can see, now because there's nothing on the platform, he's going to walk towards me into the lava, and then now we can just go ahead and summon the spiritual weapon on the other side, which means that the next time he takes his turn, then he will just walk towards the spiritual weapon. And then after that, we can shoot the right lever, which will drop the hammer on him again. Now, as is expected in Honor mode, it seems that my returning pike has not returned, even though I didn't use it to start the battle, which is usually when it doesn't return. So I've been using it this whole battle, and then I shot it, but somehow, due to a bug, it didn't return to my hand. But that's totally okay. These things just happen in Honor mode a lot. So yeah, now at this point, I'm just throwing any random thing I have, the gold that I have, and I'm going to eventually throw a severed arm at him, which actually ends up doing like 50 damage because of the bludgeoning. So yeah, these things just happen. It's just good to expect in honor mode that not everything is going to go completely fair and perfectly, and it's good to account for that. Now, Grym is finally on the platform, being drawn in by the spiritual weapon, which means now we can just go ahead and drop the hammer, and there you go. And we have completely beat Grym without him hitting us a single time. Now, Karlach took 7 damage because of the fire method that ended up using some spells on her, but yeah, it's relatively completely safe, and now I'm gonna pick up the return pike, which did not return, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up now. And yeah, that's how you defeat the monstrous Grym that is in honor mode. Right now, only Shadowheart can equip the adamantine splint armor because she has heavy armor proficiency, but we will be multi-classing into other classes very soon, which will allow our main character as well as other people to equip the arguably best armor in the game. And after this point, then 3 out of the 4 members of your party should basically be immune to critical hits, as you have 2 armors and 1 helmet, all 3 which give immunity. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and as a bonus meme, I will go over the Glut fight, which basically is whenever the Glut sees that you have slain the Duegars, then he's going to now plot a coup against you to overthrow Spa and become the King Myconid. Now, if you refuse him, then he basically will just try to kill you, which is not ideal. So you can just tell him that you are going to help him. And then this is what you can do. So you can just take him now because he's in your party, and you can lead him into this nice Biverbang field right here. And in very, very Dark Urge fashion, you can just go ahead and ask him to attempt to fly. And yeah, he can just go ahead and try his best. And oh, what do you know? Oh, he did not make it, and now we have completed the quest. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So this is the cleanup for Act 1, and now Act 1.5, which is going to be the Githyanki Crush, is going to be coming up very, very soon. So go ahead and subscribe, and also go ahead and let me know in the comments what you would like to see next. Seems like you guys really like these videos, so I will continue to make them until the very end. And seems like I'm walking down the mountain pass, going on our way to Act 1.5, and I hope that I will see you there. See you.